On this episode of China Uncensored, if you want to do business in China, better bring some protection. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, folks, I'm a big believer in good old-fashioned capitalism, and no one believes in that more than me, except for communist China. I mean, look at how successful Chinese businessmen are. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong image. That's Al Capone, a notorious American gangster during the Prohibition era. This is Liu Han, the Chinese billionaire with a $6.5 billion fortune in real estate, mining, and natural gas. Oh, what's that? I'm sorry, he's just been charged with crimes for allegedly running a mafia-style gang. Unbelievable. One guy gives a bad reputation to all the decent, hard-working Chinese businessmen. Well, him and the people behind the toxic milk, toxic drywall, and toxic toy scandals, and the environmental pollution, forced land seizures, and intellectual property theft that cost the U.S. alone $300 billion a year. Why do people do business in China again? So apparently China's 230th richest man didn't just get that way through the sweat of his brow. He also bullied villagers out of their land, had his associates kill 9 people, which they confessed to, and smuggled guns. You know, the usual. He was charged with a total of 21 different crimes, including murder, fraud, extortion, gun running, and illegal detention. Wow. It's obvious Liu really overstepped his bound. Everyone knows that illegal detention is only legal when the government does it. Not to mention bullying villagers out of their land. That's clearly the job of local officials. The point is, Liu was the kind of guy who didn't let law get in his way, though neither were the 35 others, including his brother, that were working for him. But he wasn't a gangster. He was a well-connected businessman. It's just that in China, the difference between a gangster and a businessman is more about who you know than about what you do. And Liu knew some pretty important people. Liu's reign of terror, Liu made his fortune in Sichuan. Reportedly, he has connections to Zhou Yongkang. You remember him, don't you? He's China's former security czar, and Chinese leader Xi Jinping is trying to take him out. More on that here. Liu, who was arrested last March, is just the most recent in a long string of Sichuan officials and businessmen with ties to Zhou Yongkang who have been taken out over the past few months. So if a businessman that runs things like a mafia-style gang has close ties to the guy in charge of China's police, yeah, you can imagine the state of law and order in China. And the fact that state-run Xinhua is reporting on all the details of this means that someone high up wants everything Liu Han's done exposed. Things like letting his security guard kill a villager who is leading protests against one of Liu's real estate projects, or shielding his brother, Liu Wei, who was also an Olympic torchbearer in the 2008 Beijing Games, after his brother allegedly ordered 3 people to be murdered in an open-air tea house. Actually, the Xinhua article mentions crimes that date back to 1993, so Liu Han was running loose for 20 years before his political patron got in trouble. If Zhou Yongkang weren't being investigated, Liu Han would still be out there right now. So with a story like this, it gives you a really clear picture of just how corrupt and shady businessmen and officials can be in China. Maybe the Western business world will think twice before putting its money there. Oh, what's that? Seems shares for the Sichuan Jinlu Group, a company Liu Han headed, jumped 10% despite his arrest. Is it too late to sign up for that expedition to Mars? So how do you feel about doing business in China? And who else wants to join me on Mars? Leave your comments below or on the China Uncensored Facebook page. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.